museum. It's called the Cowan Pottery Museum, and it's inside Rocky River Public Library. So that's a little different, a museum that's inside a library. When you're walking around looking at books, you can also look at pottery that's on display. And it's all Cowan pottery, and these are some examples of that up here. Cowan Pottery was founded in 1912, so it's now over 100 years old. All of these things are about 100 years old. It only lasted until 1931, so it wasn't around a very long time. Do you guys know about the Great Depression?
Yeah.
All right, the Great Depression happened, and they went bankrupt. They were doing really well, but then, it just got too hard financially, and they had to shut down. But all of the stuff is still around. People collect it. There's some people who are really into Cowan pottery, and they collect it just to have in their own home. And in the 70s, we started this museum, and I started working there a couple months ago, and so I've been learning as much as possible about Guy Cowan, who's the guy who founded it, and Cowan pottery. I have a picture of him. This is a catalog from Cowan pottery. So today, instead of going on a website and finding what you would want to buy, they would publish a catalog like this. And people would flip through it, and they would see all the different things that were for sale.
Oh, you want to hold it up for a second?
And this was stuff, when I say art pottery, do you know what I mean when I'm talking about art pottery?
Mm-hmm.
So they're mass-produced production pieces. They would make 175,000 pieces a year. And they would go to places like department stores and other showrooms, and people would buy them there. So they made a lot of this stuff. But it was all designed by artists. So it was an artist idea. Then the other workers there, the mold makers, the people that worked the kilns, the people that would develop the glazes and glaze the pieces, they kind of saw to making sure everything got made and got in stores. But it was the artists who always had to be in control of the creativity and the design part of it. And Guy Cowan was one of the artists himself. He was the chief designer the whole time, so he didn't think he was a very good artist, which I think he did just fine. There he is working on a piece. This piece is in our museum collection. You can see it still today. But he didn't think he was very good. He always kind of struggled with his own abilities as an artist. So he was always hiring other people that he wanted to work with because he thought that they were really talented and great and creative. So he would also hire art students right out of art school, and sometimes they were getting their very first job as an artist at Cowan Pottery. So a lot of these things were supposed to be used in your home. So they would make a bowl, but it was supposed to be sitting on your dining room table, and then you could put some flowers in it and arrange them in the right way. So it was all about living with art and making your home more beautiful by buying art. And so this is examples of the stuff they made. I told you that Cowan Pottery was in Rocky River. That's where it was founded. The studios aren't there anymore. There are some buildings that are owned by another family now, and they were used for different stuff over the years, but I brought some of these because I think they're kind of cool. The guy whose family owns the land, he went out in the dirt a couple months ago and dug around by where the kiln used to be, and he found a bunch of broken pieces of pottery. So these were, if something cracked or wasn't perfect, they wouldn't sell it. So it essentially went in the garbage, and you can still find some of these. When he digs in his backyard, he can still find pieces of pottery laying in the ground.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there used to be things like this. So you guys are going to work on bowls, is that right?
Yeah, they're going to be making footed pinch pots.
Okay. Something like this would have been made in a mold. So this wouldn't be not like a pinch pot handmade, but the feet that are on it, those were hand applied. So somebody had to go after these, after the tops were made, and go around and put little feet on the bottom, all of them. Cowan was known for, if you think about Cowan, you think about interesting shapes, interesting glazes, and kind of a modern style. So they were really kind of hip on the trends of the day and whatever the latest, most modern styles look like, and use those. The glazes are kind of wild. They all had names. This is called Apple Blossom Pink, if you like pink. This is called Larkspur. And do you notice anything different about a glaze like this? Yeah?
It's dark.
It's dark. What about the surface of it?
It's
shines.
It's shiny. This is called a luster glaze. So the composition of this glaze is different such that when it's fired, it's really bright and glossy like that. Luster glazes are some of my favorites. This one, would you call this a luster glaze as well? Yeah, this is wisteria. And this shape has a nickname. Not all of the pieces had a real name. It might be something like vase 728, nothing fancy, but sometimes they had nicknames. And this, if I turn it over, can you think about the nickname of this? Yeah. What's it look like? I see one of these on someone in here today. This is the hat. This is the hat base.
Yes.
Looks like the cat hat.
Mm-hmm.
What's that hat?
Sometimes the pieces had other bits of decoration on them. This is, by the way, April green is the green color. And can you tell what's on the side of this bowl? What does it look like? Yeah.
It's I know it's a dinosaur. I know it's like a.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with it's like a.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Velociraptor.
Not a velociraptor. I called it a pterodactyl, but then somebody told me that that's wrong. But there's actually a more specific name, but I don't know my dinosaurs.
I know the name.
She looks like all, not really.
Oh wait,
I know
no,
the
it is a
name.
velociraptor.
I know the name.
It's whatever flies. I don't think they fly.
It's a pterodactyl.
Yes,
Pterosaur?
yeah,
Pteranodon.
yeah.
Pteranodon?
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
those sound, you could convince me with anyone
Yes,
else.
because
It is a
But
velociraptor.
just these little heads of the dinosaurs were designed by a guy named Alexander Blazes. And then they used these on bowls, on vases. They thought it was really, I think it's kind of cool to have a dinosaur bowl in your living room.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're real scary.
This has, this luster one, this also has some animals on the bottom. Can you tell what it is? Kind of hard to see. There are two seahorses, like back-to-back seahorses. See the tails curling around?
No.
See 'em? See the tails at the bottom?
Oh
They
yeah.
curl up. So they did a lot of nautical themes, like seahorses and seashells, fish and mermaids. Sometimes they would just do other decoration like this, which that means that somebody else had to come in here and hand paint all of this part that was going to be colored. Do you have a question?
What color is the outside of it?
This color is turquoise. Not as fancy.
Yeah, that is fancy.
I love turquoise.
This one, now this is one of the most famous glaze colors. This is called Oriental Red. And funny story about this, see how it has this effect on the surface? Kind of the different variation? That means that none two would look the same. They were going for this red color. And they had a big order to fill for a showroom out, I think, in California. And they opened up the kiln and something had happened and all the pieces had this speckled look on them. And so one of the designers at the time, he actually became a quite famous artist. His name is Victor Schreckengast. I don't know if anyone knows about Victor.
I do.
Victor Schreckengast looked at what had happened and he said, we'll just tell them this is the latest Cowan glaze color. And so they pretended it was on purpose and they just went with it. Well, the guy who bought all the pieces loved it. And he said, I sold them all and I want more. So their trick had worked, but now they had a problem. They had to recreate this glaze that they got to on accident. So they had to try different formulas of the glaze and different firings until they finally got back to Oriental Red. And then it became one of the most popular glaze colors that they ever used. This is another interesting vase. See how they've glazed the outside of it and then they've dripped another glaze color over the top and let it kind of just run down. So they did things like that. Not just vases and bowls, they had all kinds of objects you would use in your home, things like candlesticks or tea sets. These are some pretty modern pieces, the cat and the dog. I like them because I think they're kind of cute. But do you have any idea what this had been used for? I'll show you. There's a hole in the top and there's a hole at the back. Yeah? Go for it.
Making music.
Not making music.
Ooh. It feels like it's like hollow on the inside. So
It is hollow on the inside. That's an important part.
Then it's like the thing where you water the plants.
Well, no, there's a hole at the bottom and the top. So something had to go all the way through it. Yeah.
A string?
No.
Unusual.
It wouldn't have had any water in it.
So unusual.
In the back,
A vase?
base is close. It would still have sat on the top of your table.
Oh, decoration.
Flowers, maybe?
No?
Unusual.
Okay, how about this? A lamp. So you would put the light
Light
in
bulb?
through the top,
Light bulb.
and the electrical cord would have come right out at the back here and plugged into the wall, and then they would have a lampshade over it. So these are both lamps, the dog and the cat.
I don't see the dog.
See the hole at the bottom and the back?
I have a question. Why didn't they just put them together to make a cat dog?
Well, they were quite innovative. Somebody might have come up with that idea, but maybe it just didn't take off the same way dog and cat as actual creatures did. Just a guess.
It's a TV show.
I know, I love it.
I've heard of cat dog. I'm a little cool. Not totally, but a little bit.
It's not
Do you have swag?
Hey,
I would say so, yeah. Do you guys have questions for me about Cowan? Yeah.
Have you ever made it?
Have I ever made it? No, I haven't. Now, we did a project a few years ago. We took one of the old designs. It was known as the Aztec Man. And we found a company that would recreate them for us. So that's something that hasn't been made for 100 years, and we found someone to make a copy for us. And then we produced some of those to sell in like our gift shop. So you could still do that, but there's still so much Cowan around. Our museum collection has 1,300 pieces in it, and we have about 40% of them on display all the time. And then, like I said, there's people that collect it, so you can see it everywhere. You can even find it on eBay sometimes, I think. So save your pennies and you can start your own Cowan Pottery collection. I'm sure that's what you all want to do with it.
I'm saying my
Yeah.
Do you make the pottery things with somebody, or do you just show the people around there?
I just show them around. My job is art historian or curator. So that means that I don't make the art, but I learn about it, talk about it, write about it, show it to other people, think about it. I think about it a lot. And we do tours at the museum, so I take people around to the pieces that we have there and show them through the museum and talk about it all. And then we do other projects like coming to visit you or going out to the community at other places and having different kinds of events. I told you about the piece of property where they found the old shards. We opened that up 2 summers ago and had a big open house, and we made it to look like it would have back in the day when people would go into the showroom and take a look at what pieces were on display and figure out what they wanted to buy. So we do different stuff like that too. Yeah.
Do you think it'd be exciting making the pottery?
I do. It's, I'm an art historian. That means that I spend a lot of time learning about art and artists. But now that I'm working with Cowan Pottery, I have to spend a lot of time thinking about how they made it. Since all the glazes are different and they all have names that I have to know, since all the shapes have names, and I have to know things like that too. So I've thought a lot more about the techniques that go into things.
So do you think, do you think you could learn more if you do it?
Maybe. It's a good idea, I think, to learn about something by doing it. Kind of putting yourself in the artist's shoes.
kind of like what you guys are gonna do.
No.
Are we gonna make stuff?
Other questions?
Where is Cowan Pottery?
Cowan Pottery is in Rocky River. That's where it was until it closed. And the Rocky River Library is where the museum is. So that's where all these pieces live when they go back